Germany for round 11 of the World Rally Championship, and it's the first full tarmac event of the season. Day one was set in the picturesque surroundings of the Moselle Valley vineyards. But don't be fooled, this event is anything but gentle. A jammed throttle saw privateer Manfred Stoll fly off the road on stage 3. Stefan Sarazan was caught out on the dusty roads, and the time loss saw him drop out of the point-scoring places. Skoda's Alex Bank came back in the Fabia for the first time since Monte Carlo, but he too was caught out at exactly the same corner moments later. Marco Martin was in fourth and chasing the top three till a brush with the wall nearly spelled disaster. His tyre parted company with the wheel. He was able to continue but plummeted down the leaderboard. Ford's Tony Gardemeister made the wrong tyre choice on the opening morning, and his lack of grip caused a brief excursion through the vineyards. At least he wouldn't go hungry after all that collecting. Teammate Roman Crest was having his best rally this year until this happened. Junior WRC driver Umo Ava was forced to retire following his role, despite the help of some enthusiastic spectators. Armin Schwartz announced his retirement from rallying after 17 years, so this is his last home event, and he's running 10th in his Skoda. Sebastian Loeb's won all three previous Rally Deutschland since it joined the World Rally Championship, and he's on course to do so again this year, having won 5 of 6 stages on day one. But he does have a fight on his hands. His young teammate Francois Duval briefly led the event yesterday and is very much at home here on similar surfaces to those of his homeland Belgium. Finland winner Marcus Grönholms conceded his Peugeot and Michelin Pirelli package is not a match for the Citroën and Michelins.
I am not fighting with them. I do my own rally and let them go.
Is that frustrating?
No, it's not, because I knew it before the start that we will have trouble.
So how's your rally going?
It's going okay. I am leading my rally.
In his rally, Loeb's got a lead of 11.7 seconds ahead of Duval after day one. Grönholm's already a minute adrift of the flying Citroëns. Any of the 5 drivers, though, could still claim 4th. Today's 7 stages through the Baumholder military ranges have constantly changing surface, and the road-style Hinkelsteins, designed to keep tracks on the road, make this one of the most demanding days on the World Rally calendar. First up, the opening run through the 22-kilometre Bosenburg test. Completely different surfaces today. Will that be any better suited to the Pirelli runners like Marcus Grönholm? Many of the roads in this tank testing area are made of rough, abrasive concrete, a surface on which the Italian tyre manufacturer should be more competitive than the smooth asphalt of yesterday. But above all else, they have to watch out for the Dragon's Teeth, the Hinkelstein, the big tank trap concrete blocks that live on the side of the road. Francois Duval was the revelation of leg one. Can he take back the lead he briefly had on day one as day two gets underway? Well, not if he stalls it like that. A sluggish getaway from the Belgian didn't quite match the revs right. But he is pushing very hard. Gravel all over the road, and he nearly comes to grief there. Well, he certainly doesn't appear to have given up fighting for victory, but that will drop more time to his teammate. He doesn't need any more narrow escapes. Grönholm is a long way adrift of the leading pair, but he'll need to keep as close as possible to Loeb to keep his fading championship hopes alive. With Duval having a rather untidy stage, the Finn may be able to close slightly.
Marcus, the split times are really, really encouraging. 8.1 quicker than Francois at 15 Ks.
Ooh.
You are quicker. Why? My driving was not good and I have 2 hard tires, so the feeling was very bad, but the time's encouraging. Yeah, but there must be something wrong. Maybe your split times or his car.
So Gronholm not too confident, but it's the ragged performance of Duval that's made the difference. He's slower than Gronholm, but he still has an advantage of 55 seconds overall on the Peugeot driver. Francois may have damaged his car after that wild ride as well. And he's not too impressed with an over-officious marshal who attempts to extinguish his smoking brakes.
Francois, what happened?
Nothing.
Next up on stage, his teammate, the rally leader, Sebastian Loeb. Well, better start than Duval, that's for sure. Had the revs matched up nicely. Oh dear. Well, even champions can make mistakes. The Frenchman recovers from his little overshoot with very little fuss, and he'll still be the quickest through the stage. While Loeb goes from strength to strength, Peter Solberg's season has lost momentum recently. Subaru's number one is still unable to match the speed of the front runners. He's just 8th fastest on this stage, now nearly a minute and a half behind third place Marcus Gronholm. You can see here a good example of just how often the surface changes on this tricky leg 2 of Rally Deutschland, with the grip levels constantly changing as well. And it's easy to see why so many have been caught out already. Roman Cresta begins day 2, hopeful of continuing his fine performance of yesterday. He's currently 6th and not far behind his teammate Gardemeister. Well, he hit that bump a bit fast. Co-driver Jan Kopecki's door has sprung open. Little surprising distraction there. We shouldn't have lost too much time as long as they don't lose their place on the notes. And they'll certainly hope not, because Marco Martin is closing fast. He and co-driver Michael Park have got their intercoms and their helmets back on the right heads now. The Estonian lost a lot of time yesterday after clipping a wall in the vineyards, but he'll certainly feel he's capable of bettering his current 7th place. The Peugeot driver beats Cresta on this stage and is now just 1.8 seconds behind.
50, easy right. 80, 3 plus right.
After a frustrating leg 1, Stefan Sarazan is showing signs of his true pace, a real tarmac expert. Yes, he used to be a single-seater racer, that's correct. 2nd fastest, but he does remain in 14th now. Loeb's lead now nearly a minute and a half ahead of Duval, while the battle for 4th is a 5-way struggle with less than 20 seconds between Solberg and Gigi Galli in 8th. Leading Skoda driver Armin Schwartz still within touching distance of the point-scoring places in 10th on his home event, just ahead of Harry Robbenberger.
Petter, what's wrong?
No drive, no gear.
Have you fixed it?
Just so I can come a little bit further anyway. 1 gear.
Well, dramas for Petter Solberg. Hopefully he can get that fixed. But unfortunately for the Norwegians, stage 8 is the longest of the day at just under 30 kilometres. He eventually arrived 9 minutes late to the start line, incurring a minute and a half of penalties. And even worse, they've been unable to repair their mysterious gear problem. Another 2 minutes are lost during this long stage, and he drops from 4th to 12th. Driving at a slower pace, he's able to make adjustments to his pace notes for the 2nd run through this stage, though, hoping to recoup some of that lost time.
With 1 gear is not easy. And luckily we got into 3rd before the stage started, because before the stage we didn't have any drive, so. But we are here.
The Subaru driver's problems should be good news for Ford's Tony Gardemeister. He's first in line to inherit Solberg's 4th place on the leaderboard. But the onboard camera shows there's a problem. Suddenly down on power. The Finn seems to be grinding to a halt.
Virrat pois kerran.
Ei hävis kaikki virrat.
Kaikki virrat hävis.
Joo.
All in all, a massive 21 minutes are lost. This could be the end of his 100% record of scoring points in every round this year.
we lost suddenly, you know, the electricity on the car. Everything gone, and we tried to find what was the reason. And then we short loop at the battery, and then it started to work.
Armin Schwartz is pushing hard to get into the top 8 point scoring positions for the first time this season. It's the last time he'll be taking part in his home World Rally event, and he wants to put on a good display for his numerous fans here. The little Fabio is certainly being worked very hard indeed.
Right 4, long, 50, double caution, over crest, right 3, very tight, keep in, and 80 caution, slip.
Ooh, a little too slippery. That's a half spin, and he's hit something and stalled the engine as well. As always in rallying, one driver's misfortune is another's gain. With so many having problems, 3 drivers have benefited. Marco Martin moves up 3 places and finds himself in 4th now. Leading Mitsubishi runner Gigi Galli's had a steady weekend so far, getting to grips with a rally that he's never finished. But the Italian now jumps from 8th to 5th, courtesy of the others falling by the wayside. And Spaniard Dani Solar, back in a Ford Focus for the first time since Mexico, finds himself in 6th. But some things never change. The 2 Citroens remain untouchable after stage 8. More frustrations for Schwartz. Despite moving up to 8th, he's forced to retire for the day at service with clutch problems. Work to do then back at the service area at Ford after Tony Gardemeister's electrical problem, and it's been a frustrating day too for Subaru and Norwegian driver Petter Solberg.
I was talking to my engineer on the road section, and the car just didn't drive anymore. So we lost the pressure to the gear change, and then it's no safety mode in it, so it just stopped.
Francois, not an easy morning for you so far. What's been happening?
No, just a little bit off on the road. I lost some 10 seconds. And after I broke the cooling duct on the front for the cooling brakes. And I broke the disc. And after it's necessary I drive very slowly on the bombardier stages.
This must be quite disappointing on your home rally in front of all the German fans. You had been going quite well.
Yes, of course. It's disappointing. I mean, disappointing for the whole team because it was a perfect team effort, and they built me a perfect car. Otherwise, we could not do the fast times. But okay, let's rally one more time.
We'll be back in Germany in a few minutes. See you after the break. Welcome back to Rally Deutschland for this difficult second leg of the German rally. With every passing stage, this is looking more and more like another runaway victory for world champion Sebastian Loeb. Despite his comfortable lead, he's still clearly pushing hard. At such high speeds, drivers need to keep their concentration at all times. This is a very abrasive surface, and the track is lined with Hinkelsteins, designed to keep the tanks on the road. If you hit them with a car, as Petter Solberg found out last year, it's game over. Loeb keeps himself well clear though, and it's yet another fastest time for the world champion. Marcus Grönholm has won 17 World Rally Championship events, not one of them on a sealed surface. But here in Germany, the Finn is more competitive than on other tarmac events due to the large variety of the surfaces.
Jatkuu vasen eri jouhe, kivi sisällä 8 ja vasen eri pyöreä yli nypyn ahdasta 200.
He's looking particularly fast on these tricky stages with less tight corners and hairpins to negotiate, and Grönholm is able to take advantage of Peugeot 307's powerful engine, which shares a lot of the basic architecture of the Citroens. He's second fastest on this stage, but he's still a long way behind the leading pair. Gigi Galli's produced a string of impressive but erratic performances for Mitsubishi this season. And there goes another one. That could be a costly error. Nearly 30 seconds off the pace on this stage, and he's slipping into the clutches of former teammate Dani Solar. Spaniard Solo's in a Ford Focus. He was just 21 seconds behind Galli before stage 8. With Gigi's mistake, that could all fall into his lap. But he makes a mistake as well, overshooting one of the many junctions. That's taken too long to get back on track, and after Galli's spin he closes to just 3.5 seconds behind the Italian. Behind Sola in 7th is fellow Ford driver Roman Cresta. He's a man who's a lot more comfortable on tarmac, it seems, than gravel. Following Tony Gardemeister's earlier problems, the Czech is now the leading Ford driver nominated to score points for the team. He closes slightly on Sola here, particularly with a bit of judicious corner cutting, but he's still under 20 seconds behind. With Armin Schwartz out, the sole remaining Skoda this afternoon is the Czech Jan Kopecky, who's running in 11th. The team has an interested observer. Former World Rally champion Colin McRae signed up for a one-off drive at the next event in Wales. Loeb's maintained his half-minute cushion ahead of teammate Duval. The closest battle in the top 8 is a 5th between Galli and Sola. Next up, the second run through Panzerplatte, and the Hinkelsteins still waiting for their first victim. Stefan Sarazan first came to the attention of the WRC teams at this event last season. It was the ex-Formula 1 driver's first attempt at a World Championship rally after competing in the French Tarmac Championship, and he was immediately on the pace in a private Subaru. This year he's behind the wheel of a works car, and although he's had his problems in the Impreza, he's moving in the right direction again, gaining 2 places. He did an awful lot of pre-event suspension testing, and that's paying dividends. Sarazan's now up to 8th, despite a torrid day 1. Another driver having a better day is Dani Sola. The Spaniard's only taking part in a very limited programme with Ford this season, so he really needs to make the most of every opportunity he has. He won the production class of this event in 2003, and he's taken part in all 3 Rally Deutschlands since it joined the WRC, so he's got plenty of experience here in Germany. And judging by the length of that jump, despite the lift, Dani's certainly giving it his all. 3rd fastest, he passes Galli to claim 5th position. François Duval's always been more comfortable on tarmac than gravel, and he finished 2nd here last year when driving for Ford, pushing now teammate all the way to the line. He's had a few wild moments today, an indication of how hard he's having to push to stay in touch with Sebastian Loeb, his current teammate and the man who beat him in last year's event. But he's looking a lot tidier through stage 10 and wins his 2nd stage of the rally.
Pour long droite 120, attention, glisse en frein 25, arrière droite 30.
All of this makes little difference to Sebastian Loeb's advantage, though. Further back, confirmation of Sola and Galli's position swap and Sarazan's return to the point-scoring places. After service day, it's on to the final 3 stages. With Gardemeister a long way back, Roman Cresta has added pressure to stay with the leading group for Ford. The company's on course to continue their record-breaking run of scoring manufacturers' points in 55 consecutive rallies, and the Czech driver now has the responsibility of picking up at least 1 point. Another small mistake, though. Doesn't seem to drop too much time. Avoids major damage, but it won't help him in his pursuit of Gigi Galli in 6th. The Italian is on a charge of his own. Frustrated at losing his place to Dani Sola on the last stage, he's pushing hard here again and trims the Spaniard's advantage with some spectacular tail-out motoring that pleases the fans no end. Sebastian Loeb was beaten by his teammate and closest challenger François Duval on the previous stage, but normal services resumed here as he beats the Belgian by 2.5.
With François,
just try to keep a good rhythm because we need that both to stay concentrated. But after that we will try not to take too much risk. These kind of stages are difficult for that because it's a lot of gravel in some places. You don't see it and it's tricky. But for the moment it's going well.
No position changes in the top 8 after stage 11, but Gigi Galli has closed on Sola in 5th, now just 7.1 behind. 2 stages remain on day 2 of Rally Deutschland, and they're coming up after the break. Welcome back. Just 2 more stages to come on the penultimate day of Rally Deutschland. Danny Sola's gone a long way to making amends for writing off the last Ford Focus he drove in Mexico. He's currently the leading Ford driver in 5th place, but all's not well. Frustratingly for the Spaniard, he suffers a hydraulic failure, forcing him to use his manual gear shift, and the time loss sees him drop down 3 places as he ends the day in 8th.
Danny, a terrible stage time in the stage before. Lost a lot of time, not quick here. What's the problem?
We have mechanical gearbox and not hydraulic pressure. It's finished, it's only a rear traction.
That's better news for Ford's leading nominated driver Roman Cresta. The young Czech's finishing the day on a high. He sets the 3rd fastest time on stage 12. He's putting real pressure on Gigi Galli, who's ahead of him on the leaderboard.
120, pravé 5, 150, levá 3 ostrá kat, do brzda 60, levé 1, pravé 7.
The Italian driver is under pressure to keep Mitsubishi represented in the point-scoring places. He's slower than Cresta on these final 2 stages, though, and he loses that spot. This battle is finally poised going into the final leg. Marco Martins a rather lonely 4th, under no pressure from behind and unlikely to trouble his teammate ahead, so he should be free to consolidate his place tomorrow. Teammate Gronholm is in a similar situation in 3rd. Both Peugeots on course to score good points, but in the battle for the manufacturers, it's their French rivals Citroën who have taken the initiative here in Germany. Francois Duval may have only won 2 stages and been unable to match the searing pace of his champion teammate, but the squad will be delighted with his performance so far here. With the gap to Loeb still around half a minute, he'll no doubt be told to hold position, but this has been by far his best performance in Citroën colours. And what can we say that we haven't already said about the rally leader? Once again, Sébastien Loeb arrived here as the favourite to win, and the unflappable Frenchman has not disappointed. He's on course to notch up his 8th win of the season, which will be another WRC record, and surely only a miracle can now prevent him claiming his 2nd driver's crown. Loeb looking untouchable and unflappable again going into the final day, but behind the Citroëns and Peugeots it's all still up for grabs. Galli will set his sights on 5th, while Sarrazin has moved up to 7th after the problems for Danny Sola. Outside the points in 9th, it's Petter Solberg, Rottenpera in 10th.
It will be a podium tomorrow, that's some consolation.
Yeah, normally it should be so, but we still have to drive the 6 stages and so let's see.
You don't seem inspired.
Not really, but it will be okay.
Francois, another day of confident driving from you.
Yes, it's really good. I'm very confident today. The stages is really nice. Everything okay.
Finishing 2nd tomorrow, that's going to please you.
Yes, sure, it's really good. If Sébastien finish 1st and me 2nd, it's really good position. It's really important for Citroën takes maximum points.
Sébastien, barring a disaster, you're going to win tomorrow?
Yes, that would be good.
And also for Citroën, it would be a very good result. 2 cars in the 2 first places. That's a very good result at the moment. So I hope we can finish like this.
Just 6 more stages then to come before Loeb can continue to update the history books. Join us again tomorrow, and as always, log on to WRC.com for the latest news and results.
Block.